Hello, everyone. This is Jimmy Kimmel. Listen, what I'm about to tell you isn't just another Washington story. This is the Justice Department collapsing from the inside, and nobody's talking about how bad it really is. 2,900 lawyers gone in 10 months. Think about that number for a second. That's not normal turnover. That's not people retiring. That's an institution hemorrhaging the very people who make it function. And when I say function, I mean keeping criminals off the streets, prosecuting corruption, defending federal law in court. But here's what they're not telling you on the evening news. These aren't just any lawyers walking out the door. These are the ones who know how the system actually works, the ones who've been there for decades, the ones who train the new people, the ones who carry the institutional memory of how justice is supposed to be administered in America. And they're leaving because something is fundamentally broken. Now, before we go any further, I need you to do something for me. Just you. I'm not talking to everyone watching this. I'm talking specifically to you. Hit that subscribe button for Kimmel in Focus right now, because what we're diving into today, this is the kind of story that gets buried. This is the kind of truth that powerful people don't want you to understand. So, subscribe, join this community, be part of something that actually tells you what's happening. Let me paint you a picture of what's really going on inside the Department of Justice right now, because the numbers alone don't capture the chaos. Imagine a massive ship, one of those aircraft carriers that projects American power around the world. Now imagine that suddenly most of the officers abandon ship. The people who know how to navigate, how to operate the systems, how to keep everything running, they're just gone. What you're left with is a skeleton crew. People who don't know what they're doing, systems failing, and a ship that's supposed to protect the entire fleet now barely able to stay afloat. That's the DOJ right now. Two-thirds of the lawyers in one critical unit just resigned, not transferred, not reassigned, resigned. These are people who served under both Republican and Democratic presidents, people who took their oath to the Constitution seriously, and they walked away because they were being asked to do things that cross serious legal and ethical lines. One of them, a lawyer named Arzane, refused to mislead a court. He was working on a case where the Trump administration deported someone to El Salvador, even though a federal judge had ordered them not to. And when Arzane wouldn't lie to the court about it, he got fired. Now he's a whistleblower telling the world what's really happening inside. This isn't business as usual. This isn't partisan politics. This is the American justice system being corrupted from within. And here's where it gets worse. The cases are falling apart. Across the country, prosecutors can't move forward because there's nobody left to do the work. In Washington, D.C., felony cases are being dismissed at unprecedented rates. Normally, less than 1% of DOJ cases get dropped after being filed. Now it's closer to 20% of criminal cases just abandoned. So let me ask you something. Who's the law and order party now? Because it sure as hell isn't the one presiding over the collapse of the Justice Department in Los Angeles. There was a case against a protester, clear evidence on video, should have been an easy conviction. The jury refused to convict because they don't trust the DOJ anymore. They don't trust that justice is actually being served, and it's not just low-profile cases. Major investigations into politicians, into corporations, into corruption at the highest levels. They're all hitting walls because the lawyers who know how to prosecute these cases are gone. The expertise is gone. The institutional knowledge is gone. Trump has spent his entire career avoiding accountability, and now he's systematically destroying the one institution that could hold him accountable. Let me tell you about the pardons, because this is where you see the corruption in its purest form. Trump has pardoned over 1,500 people this year. That includes January 6th rears, convicted drug traffickers, his own former chief of staff, a cryptocurrency exchange CEO who was literally indicted by Trump's own Justice Department 5 months before getting pardoned. Think about that. The DOJ builds a case, indicts someone, and then Trump just wipes it all away with a pardon. What's the point of having a Justice Department if the president can just nullify any case he doesn't like? The message is clear. If you're connected to Trump, if you're useful to Trump, if you can pay Trump, you're above the law. The rest of America, you're subject to it. But the powerful, the wealthy, the connected, they get a pass. This is corruption. This isn't complicated. This is the president using his pardon power to protect his friends and punish his enemies. And the lawyers who are supposed to defend the rule of law, they're walking out. They're refusing to participate. They're saying, I didn't sign up for this. But here's what really gets me. Here's what should terrify every American watching this. The Justice Department isn't just losing people, it's losing its reputation. For decades, working at the DOJ was a badge of honor. Lawyers would take pay cuts to work there because they believed in the mission. They believed in justice. Now, the DOJ is a political weapon. It's an institution that's been captured by one man's agenda, and the best lawyers, the ones with options, they're leaving. They're going to private firms. They're going to other government agencies. They're getting as far away from the DOJ as they can. What's left behind is a hollowed-out shell, inexperienced lawyers, political appointees with no institutional knowledge, and a mission that's been completely corrupted. Let me tell you about the Epstein files because this is where the cover-up becomes obvious. For years, people have been demanding the full Epstein files, the documents, the witness statements, the evidence, and Trump has been blocking it. He's hinted the files don't exist, then he said he's not in them, then he released a tiny fraction with massive redactions, and in what was released, Trump's name appears, details about horrific alleged crimes, connections that the public deserves to know about. But the DOJ, they're responsible for this mismanagement. They're the ones deciding what gets redacted. They're the ones controlling what the American people are allowed to see. Court filings, witness statements, investigative reports, all heavily censored, hundreds of gigabytes of information, and we've gotten maybe 1%. What are they hiding? The lack of transparency fuels suspicion. When you redact this much, when you hide this much, people naturally start to wonder what you don't want them to know. And juries notice, judges notice. When cases come before them that feel politically motivated, when evidence seems cherry-picked, when the DOJ appears to be serving Trump's interests rather than justice, they push back. That's why cases are failing, not because the evidence isn't there, but because nobody trusts the institution bringing the cases anymore. Former DOJ prosecutors are sounding the alarm. They're going on record saying this is unprecedented. They're saying the damage will take years, maybe decades to repair because it's not just about the numbers. It's not just about 2,900 departures. It's about who's leaving. The most experienced lawyers, the ones who trained everyone else, the ones who knew how to navigate complex cases and get results, they're gone. And what's left is chaos. Some describe it as a post-apocalyptic scenario for one of America's most important institutions. That's not hyperbole. That's an accurate description of what's happening. The DOJ under Trump has focused heavily on cases that align with his political agenda, immigration enforcement, going after his political enemies, protecting his allies. But traditional enforcement, drug trafficking, human exploitation, organized crime, public corruption, those resources have been shifted away. Those cases are being neglected. There are huge gaps in accountability right now. Criminals who should be prosecuted aren't being prosecuted because the DOJ is too busy serving Trump's political interests. So what does this mean for America? What does this mean for you? First, there's the immediate impact. Cases dismissed, trials delayed, criminals walking free, justice denied. Second, there's the long-term erosion of credibility. Young lawyers entering the DOJ now are inheriting a broken institution. They have no leadership to guide them, no experienced mentors to learn from, no institutional mission to believe in. Future cases will struggle simply because the agency is understaffed, over-politicized, and fundamentally corrupted. This isn't just a staffing problem. This is an existential crisis. A crisis of trust, a crisis of functionality, a crisis of mission. The very systems designed to enforce federal law and protect citizens are being corrupted and turned toward Trump's ends. What was once a highly respected institution is now fighting just to stay relevant. And rebuilding that will take years, maybe decades, if it can be rebuilt at all. Think about what this means. Think about what kind of country we're becoming. When the Justice Department can't function, when lawyers refuse to work there, when cases fall apart because nobody trusts the institution, when pardons flow to the powerful and connected while regular Americans face the full force of the law. That's not justice. That's not the rule of law. That's authoritarianism. And it's happening right now in real time. While most Americans are too distracted or too exhausted to notice, but you're noticing, you're paying attention, that's why you're here. That's why this matters. The DOJ has always been a pillar of the American legal system. It's supposed to be independent. It's supposed to pursue justice without fear or favor. It's supposed to hold everyone accountable, including the president. But Trump has systematically destroyed that independence. He's installed loyalists. He's purged anyone who won't do his bidding. He's used the pardon power to protect his allies and punish his enemies. And the result is an institution that's collapsing from within. An institution that's lost the trust of the American people. An institution that can no longer fulfill its mission. This is what authoritarianism looks like. Not tanks in the streets, not a military coup, but the slow, methodical corruption of institutions, the erosion of checks and balances, the concentration of power in one person's hands. And when those institutions fail, when the lawyers walk out, when justice becomes a tool of political power rather than a principle, democracy dies. Not all at once, not dramatically, but slowly, quietly, until one day you wake up and realize you're living in a different country than you thought you were. That's where we are right now. That's what's happening. So here's my question for you. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to keep watching? Are you going to stay informed? Are you going to demand better from your government? Or are you going to look away, scroll to the next video? Pretend this isn't happening because that's what they're counting on. You being too tired, too overwhelmed, too cynical to care. Don't give them that satisfaction. Stay engaged, stay informed, demand accountability, organize, make noise, because the alternative is accepting a country where justice is for sale, where the powerful are above the law, where institutions exist only to serve one man's interests. And I don't think that's the America you want to live in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for giving a damn about what's happening to this country. Subscribe to Kimmel in Focus if you haven't already. Not because I need the numbers, but because you deserve a place where someone tells you the truth, where we cut through the noise and the propaganda and talk about what's really happening. It's just you and me having a conversation, and sometimes that's exactly what we need. I'll be back soon with more. Keep watching, keep thinking, keep demanding better. Take care of yourself, take care of your family. And remember, when good people stay silent, bad people win. Don't stay silent. See you next time.